Have you ever sat in church and wondered if you've only been told half the story? If you've ever left a service feeling both fed and empty, you're not alone. I'm Sarah, and for years I believed deeply in Jesus, his love, his sacrifice, his word. But one night, I came across something astonishing, a gospel that didn't talk about a cross, about sin, or about a building called church. It was called the Gospel of Thomas, buried for centuries in Egyptian sand, hidden from most believers. I felt my heart pound as I read its first line. Whoever finds the interpretation of these sayings will not taste death. That promise sparked something inside me. Curiosity, reverence, maybe even fear. What if Jesus offered more than the narrative we've grown up hearing? I remember the moment I whispered under my breath, "This isn't what I've been taught." The Gospel of Thomas is a collection of 114 sayings attributed to Jesus, but no miracles, no resurrection, no cross. Just secrets, not the kind hidden by pride or deceit, but the kind buried in quiet humility. That contrast hit me like a thunderclap. I'd lived with the image of Jesus dying to atone for my sins, and yet here was a Jesus who whispered truths to be discovered from within. As I read that first saying, "Seek and you will find, knock and the door will be opened," I felt a shift within me. I wanted more. More than doctrine. More than ritual. I wanted the life-changing wisdom Jesus himself may have shared in private moments. I felt compelled to know more, and in that pause, my finger hovered over the subscribe button. What if this story was bigger than any one church could hold? So let's walk this path together. Let's let our hearts be stirred by a hidden Jesus. Not a Jesus of religion, but a Jesus of revelation. His message isn't about guilt and redemption alone. It's a call to remember the divine within. Stick with me, because it gets deeper than what you might expect. After that first spark of revelation, I felt like I was stepping into a secret garden, one I'd only glimpsed before. The Gospel of Thomas didn't ask me to latch on to the narrative of defeat. Instead, it invited me to come alive, to awaken. One saying struck me so deeply my heart raced. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. Not someone else. Not something external. You. That hit me hard. All those nights when I felt disconnected, unseen, broken, I realized the answer didn't lie outside me. It lay within. And Jesus wasn't waiting on a hill. He was close, intimate, a whisper in my soul. He spoke of unity, not between nations or rituals, but between heaven and earth, spirit and flesh, within us. When you make the two one, he said, you will enter the kingdom. We carry the kingdom of God in our hearts. I began to connect dots I hadn't seen before. Thomas's Jesus wasn't trying to build headquarters. He was dismantling walls. He didn't demand sacrifice. He demanded presence. He didn't call for fear. He offered remembrance. And as this awakening grew, my faith shifted. Church became less about buildings and more about brave communities seeking truth. One of the most electrifying moments came when I read, "Split a piece of wood, and I am there." That's Jesus showing up in the simplest of places. Wood we split for fire, bread we break at the table, our everyday lives. He's in our everyday soul, not up beyond unreachable heights. If your spirit has resonated like mine did, I invite you now. Subscribe. Share this with someone who wonders if there's more. This isn't about doctrine, it's about discovery. Because it leads to the most shocking truth. Jesus didn't die so we could fear our sin. He died so we could remember our light. As I pressed deeper into the Gospel of Thomas, I felt like I was peeling away layers of light inside me. I realized that what had been hidden was never meant to remain hidden. Jesus' voice in those sayings was gentle, but fierce. It wasn't asking for obedience. It was awakening courage. I began to notice the sacred in ordinary moments, in sunrise, in laughter, in tears. Not because I was looking harder, but because I had woken up. I began to see how Thomas's Jesus shattered expectations. No cross, no condemnation, just pure invitation. When the early church buried this gospel, they weren't just hiding words. They were hiding a way to live, a way of radical union with the divine that transcended rituals and hierarchies. But that light couldn't stay hidden forever. Now it's calling you, calling me, calling us into remembering what we already are. So here's what I'm left with. Jesus wasn't distant. He's in every breath, every heartbeat, every moment you remember him. His kingdom isn't somewhere else. It's right here within you. And the Gospel of Thomas doesn't end with a cross. It begins with you. If this stirred something in your soul, comment below with "I remember." Share it with someone awakening, someone tired of feeling small. Subscribe, not to a channel, but to your own journey inward. We're called not to follow a narrative, but to remember a presence. We're called not to worship from a distance, but to awaken within ourselves. The lost gospel has been found. The truth is no longer hidden. And you, yes, you, are now the messenger. Thank you for walking this path with me. Let's keep remembering together.